Sup guys, it's Chris here to break down first two fights on this Super 6 360 or Super 6 Middleweight tournament on Showtime. I said 360 because last night I watched the first episode of Fight Camp 360 inside the Super 6, which was it's kind of like almost like a 24/7 version of this tournament. It's a little bit better in a way. 24/7 is a bit of a fluff piece, it's more of a promotional thing. This is too, but this goes a little more into the details of behind what transpired in making the tournament come about and whatnot. A little bit more behind the scenes. It was definitely interesting to see. I gotta say, Dan Goossen came off as a bit of a dick, not wanting to work with people as much for his fighter Ward. Not wanting to compromise as much. But we'll see. It was interesting to look though. You got to see a little more on guys like Froch and Abraham, guys that us in the States owners may not be as familiar with on a personal level. So that was a good little look behind it. And Abraham seemed like a pretty interesting character. And Froch, wow, your woman is fine. So props for that, man. Anyways, on to the fights. Actually, on to the tournament real quick. The combined record of the fighters involved, the 6 fighters, is 163 wins, 4 defeats, and 1 draw. And 3 of those defeats in the draw are to Jermain Taylor. So that just tells you the caliber of fighters involved in this. 4 of the 6 fighters are undefeated. And Kessel only has 1 loss. So, it's just amazing stuff. Really looking forward to see how this plays out over the next couple of years. Anyways, I don't know which bout they're showing first on Saturday, so I'm just going to talk about the Froch bout first because that's what it's going to be. For the WBC Super Middleweight title, champion Carl Froch, record 25 wins, 0 losses, 20 KOs, stands in at 6'1" with a 74.5-inch reach. Against Andre Dirrell, 18 wins, 0 losses, also undefeated, 13 KOs, 6'2", 75-inch reach. So not much of an advantage in either height or reach advantage for either of these fighters. Froch is coming off the impressive, just thrilling, one of the best fights of the year, the TKO 12 over Jermain Taylor. Before that, he had a unanimous decision win over Jean Pascal, which I think is a really good win because I think Dirrell and Pascal are somewhat similar fighters or have similar attributes. So I think that's good. That'll be good, bode well for him going into this fight. Dirrell's coming off a win over Derek Finley, which was on a Showbox, and before that, he had a TKO 6 over Victor Oganov. That was on Showtime as well. Oganov had an impressive record entering that bout, but was completely outclassed. Basically, you have the established guy, or the more established guy in Froch, against Dirrell, the young up-and-comer. Although Dirrell does have, the Olympic and amateur pedigree. Dirrell's biggest question mark going into this fight is he hasn't faced the level of opposition. That's definitely the big question mark. He's got the advantage in speed, no doubt about that. He's probably got the advantage in technique as well. Power, I'd give it to Froch. But big fight experience, definitely Froch. The fight's taking place in the UK, so that's obviously going to be to Froch's advantage. It's going to be in his home court. So not only will Dirrell be fighting for a world title for his first time, he'll also be fighting overseas on a big stage, So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with that, with the magnitude of this fight. I know he says he's prepared, but you never know for sure until you actually put in that position. So I would say Froch has quite a few advantages. Dirrell's never, I can't say he hasn't faced a fighter exactly like Froch, but I don't believe so. I don't think he's faced a fighter on the level of Froch. Dirrell doesn't really have any wins over any significant names. If you look at his record, his best win is probably over Anthony Hanshaw, for what that's worth. No disrespect to Hanshaw, but I don't think that's that big of a win. Whereas, as I said, Froch had the win over Pascal and Taylor. The Taylor fight was close. He did get knocked down. He was losing on a decision. If he had not scored the knockdown to the knockout late, he may have lost the decision. But, he came over here to fight in the States for that as well. So it showed that he had no problems coming out of his home country and fighting, in another country on the big stage. The Pascal win is the win I noted. Pascal looked really good in his last fight, or in his win over Diacono earlier this year. Pascal is a really good fighter. I wouldn't say him and Dirrell have the same style, but they're both very fast, slick fighters. So Dirrell's speed and movement won't be something that he hasn't dealt with in the past. This is a fight, I always say this, you can make a case for either guy, and I usually can. I mean, I could see Dirrell using his speed and movement and staying on the outside or keeping in the middle of the ring even, and outboxing Froch. The question is, will he be able to hold off Froch's pressure for the entire 12 rounds? That I don't know. Dirrell's been knocked down before. He's been stunned by much lesser fighters who do not have the power of Froch. So I don't know how he's going to handle that. I don't know how he's going to handle the crowd. I don't know where his stamina's at. He's never really been pressed too hard in any fights. He's never had the kind of opponent or been in the fight where he's been pressed to see how to really handle serious adversity. So, I don't want to say I'm going with Froch because he's the safe bet, but in a way he is. He's the more proven fighter. I said he has the advantages as far as the home country and whatnot. The Taylor fight was a good experience for him. I think he's going to learn from that. He can learn from the mistakes he made. Froch doesn't have the best defense. He's easy to hit. I don't think Dirrell has the power necessarily to put him out. Not to say he can't, but I don't see that happening. If Dirrell wins, it's going to be by decision. And it may be close, They're fighting in England. You never know with the judges. But I'm going to go with Carl Froch to win this by decision late. It'll be interesting to see the ring size. If it's a smaller ring, it'll definitely be to Froch's advantage. He'll be able to cut the corners off, probably try to get Dirrell against the ropes, trap him in corners, really go to work there. But either way, I just think Froch's pressure and maybe the moment, being caught up in the big moment and whatnot, will catch up with Dirrell. Not to disrespect Dirrell and say he's a weak-minded fighter by any means, but I'm just going to go with the proven commodity at this point, not being Froch in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Carl Froch by TKO late or decision. But don't be surprised if Andre Dirrell pulls this out. He definitely has the ability to do so. Next up, Arthur Abraham versus Jermain Taylor. Arthur Abraham, record 30 wins, 0 losses, 24 KOs. Stands at 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. Jermain Taylor, 28 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 17 KOs. 5'11" with a 74.5-inch reach. So Taylor's got a slight height and a pretty good size reach advantage. Not huge, but enough. Abraham's coming off TKO win over Mahir Oral. Before that, his biggest win is a TKO in the rematch over Edison Miranda, where he just pretty much destroyed Miranda in the 4th round. I mean, he just obliterated him, which was a surprise because Miranda gave him such a tough time in the first fight. Jermain, as already stated, is coming off the TKO loss to Carl Froch. Before that, he had a win over Jeff Lacey in his official move to super middleweight. Not the most impressive performance, especially in light of how Jeff Lacey looked against Roy Jones. And before that, he had the back-to-back losses to Kelly Paddock, although I will admit Jermain Taylor looked much better in the rematch. This is a fight that could have happened at middleweight, if they would have both, if Taylor would have remained champion there. It would have been interesting to see this fight happen then, when they were both champions at middleweight. But it didn't happen. Better late than never, I always say that, right? Taylor just hasn't looked as good lately, He looked better in the Pavlik rematch, but he didn't look that good in the Lacey win. He looked good in spots in the Froch fight. He just tired late and got caught. He buckled under the pressure and, the stamina factor. Abraham has looked really impressive lately. Moving up in weight is going to help him. He's been having trouble making the weight lately, so he'll be stronger here. I think his cardio will be much better late. Not that he's had a problem with that in the past, but I don't think he should have any issues. Taylor's more of a faster starter than Abraham is. So look for Taylor to establish his jab. Probably win the first few rounds of boxing. Abraham, it takes him a couple rounds to really get in his groove, really get his opponent down. Once he does, though, he really just goes for it. He really lets his hands go. He's a guy that really likes to just mix it up. Really is just a fighter's fighter. He said last night he got into the fight respecting Mike Tyson, and that's who he's admired. And I believe it. The guy's got the tenacity of a Mike Tyson, and the aggressiveness. Jermain Taylor's faced much better opposition. Pavlik, Hopkins, Spinks, Wright. But the fights happen in Germany, so I could see Taylor winning by decision if he wins, but I can't see him knocking out Abraham. But I don't think he's going to win a decision in Germany. And honestly, I just don't think he's going to be able to hold Abraham off. I really think Abraham's pressure and just his power is going to catch up with Jermain and break him down. I'm going to go with Arthur Abraham to win this fight by TKO late. It might be similar to the Froch fight. except for I think Abraham might be able to get to him sooner because he's faster than Froch and he's got more power than Froch, in my opinion. And he punches more better with both hands, I think, than Froch does. So look for Abraham to go to the body, try to take the legs out of Taylor, wear him down late. Should be a competitive fight early on for the first 6 to 8 rounds, in my opinion, but I really think Abraham's just going to catch up with him and stop him late. Either way, I do think Abraham will win this fight by TKO or decision, much as I think Froch will the first fight. So, really looking forward to these fights. I will probably be back on Sunday to give my thoughts afterwards, but until then, y'all, I'm out.